رجعنا محمود تألفني مرة سهير طلعنا من الحارة نزلنا عالساحة
Ahlan wa sahlan, and welcome to I Am From There, I Am From Here, a Palestinian showcase at the Kennedy Center. Thank you all for joining us tonight, whether you're in this theater or watching online. I'm Nusayba Hamad, the DC Palestinian Film and Arts Festival's Managing Director.
And I'm Michael Kamel, the curator and co-director of the festival. We are beyond honored and proud to be on this stage tonight. And we were told that this is the first time a Palestinian-themed program has taken place on this stage. Let's clap for that.
That's pretty amazing. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are and how we got here. We're the DC Palestinian Film and Arts Festival. We showcase Palestinian creativity and subjectivity. Founded in 2011, in the past 7 years, we've shown 97 films and hosted dozens of Palestinian artists from all over the world, exhibits, and performances. We emphasize the range and complexity of Palestinian narratives, identities, and experiences. We provide a platform for Palestinians to tell their own stories, like Nadia Abu al-Aidam will be doing on this stage tonight. And we know that the personal is political. So on that note,
Live when Nadia comes on stage to recount her middle school horrors, which is, I think, something we can all relate to.
possibly.
Then Layla Buck is center stage performing a one-act play titled Visiting Palestine, written and directed by our co-founder, Nora Arakat. Then the show will pop off with Huda Asfour, the Huda Asfour ensemble, forgive me. And she's gonna close out the show, and then we're gonna have a wonderful panel for you all.
And that's not all. We're just getting started. From Thursday through Sunday this week, it's the 7th annual run of the DC PFAF. We have films, dance, debke, storytelling, and more. You can find more information on the postcards on your seats and online at dcpfaf.org. But before I start the show, before I let the other people start the show, I have a question for Michael.
Yes,
Which
Nusayba?
is, why haven't you asked me what I'm wearing tonight?
What are you wearing tonight, Nusayba?
Well, now that he asked, I'm wearing a dress by Palestinian designer Rami Qashua, who also designed a couple of the other costumes other women on stage will be wearing. So, see if you can spot them.
And before we start the show, I just want to remind you all to please shut off your phones. We have a lot of performances, and we don't want any of those to be interrupted. Thank you all for coming out tonight, and enjoy the show.
My middle school years were really rocky. They were filled with ups and downs. The 6th grade was especially challenging from both a personal and social perspective. One of the most difficult things about starting middle school was the fact that you physically had to change classrooms between subjects. My social studies class was nearly a quarter mile away from my math class, which often meant that you found my chubby self trying to sprint across campus, arriving at math, sweaty and out of breath. My social studies teacher's name was Mr. Chelly. Mr. Chelly was not to be messed with. He required us to write every single one of our assignments in cursive by hand. This was before the days where everyone typed up their assignments. In fact, he dedicated precious time during social studies class to penmanship. He'd hand out worksheets with letters that we would have to practice over and over. As students, we hated this. We used to bicker and giggle amongst ourselves, and we'd leave class exhausted with our hands sore and tired from writing in cursive all day. My only saving grace was the basketball team. I had made the A team, but I know that that was mostly to do with the fact that I was a lot taller than a lot of the other girls, and I was a lot heavier, which means that I could move girls around with my hips on the court. I rarely scored, In fact, I was mostly a defensive player, but there was one game where I scored 3 baskets in 3 consecutive plays. It felt amazing. They were my first points and only points of the season. But I felt like a superstar, like a professional basketball player, like Michael Jordan. So I decided to celebrate. I threw my hands up in the air. I glanced over at my dad sitting in the stands alongside with my entire extended family, because that's pretty normal for Palestinian families. And I found myself running backwards, filled with pride. Until I wasn't running. I was falling. And that moment lasts forever in my mind. Feeling pain in my left foot, free falling backwards towards the ground, putting my right hand back to try to catch myself, hearing a sharp crack, and hitting the ground. When I opened my eyes, I was staring straight through the basketball hoop, and the opposing team's play was still in progress. I was wriggling in pain, unable to get up, and it felt like forever until the referee blew that whistle. When he did, my coach came bounding onto the court with my parents immediately following her. They had to help me off of the ground. I couldn't put weight on my left leg, and my right arm felt like it was going to fall right off my body and onto the floor. We rushed to the hospital and found out that I had a bruise on my left ankle and that my right arm was completely broken. Now, for those of you who have ever injured your foot or know someone who has, you know that usually in this instance you'd be given crutches to walk around on. But because my right arm was in a cast all the way up to my armpit, crutches were not an option. So, as a 6th grader in middle school, I got to walk around campus with a cane. Yes, a cane, making that quarter-mile trudge from my social studies class all the way to my math class. The only positive thing that I could see coming from this was the fact that I was right-handed. And maybe, just maybe, I wouldn't have to write in cursive for Mr. Chelly's class. So me and my mother composed this nice letter to Mr. Chelly explaining the fact that I had broken my right hand and couldn't write with it, asking if he'd allow me to type up the rest of the assignments for the year. I was so excited to bring that letter to Mr. Chelly. I was so excited to sit and watch the other students practice their cursive and get back at them for laughing at me for walking with a cane around school. To my shock and horror, Mr. Chelly did not allow me to type up all of my assignments. Instead, he required that I complete all of my assignments with my left hand in cursive. It was a horror show trying to get the pencil to stay in my left hand, and anything that did come out on paper didn't make any sense to whoever was going to read it. My mom tried to beg him. She asked him, please, just let her type up the assignments. And he said, nope, she should and could write with her left hand. Now, this wasn't the last time that I would disagree with Mr. Chelly about something. The final report for Mr. Chelly's class involved writing about a country of your choice. And you didn't only have to do a report, you had to do a poster presentation highlighting the culture, history, and traditions of the country that you chose. We would spend a day in class picking our countries and getting them approved by Mr. Chelly, who would then give us reading to help us complete our reports. Now, I knew right away that I wanted to write my report on Palestine. I had been there a few summers before with my mother and my sister. I had lots of pictures and memories, and I knew that I could put them into the poster and the report. I also knew that I could ask my parents questions about Palestine since they both came from there. When it was my turn to tell Mr. Chelly the country I had chosen, I said proudly, Mr. Chelly, I'm going to write my report on Palestine. He took a second, took a deep breath, removed the glasses from his face, rubbed his temples, put his glasses back on his face, and said, come with me. He took me to the back of the classroom where there was this global map hanging on the wall. And he said, Nadia, you cannot do your report on Palestine because Palestine is not on this map. I was confused. I was there. I had been to my mother's hometown of Nablus. I had eaten the knafe. I had felt the sun on my face. How could it not be on the map? Mr. Chelly, my parents are from there. I was there a few summers ago. What do you mean it's not on the map? He took his finger and he circled right next to that small sliver of land the word Israel. He said, that country is called Israel. He took out the almanac, he put it in front of me, and he said, if you can find the Palestinian flag in here, you can do your report on Palestine. Now, I knew what the Palestinian flag looked like. I had drawn that thing 1,000,000 times in Arabic school, but I couldn't find it in the almanac. And he said, the flag isn't there because Palestine is not an officially recognized country. My head was spinning. I really couldn't comprehend all of this in my 6th grade mind. Class was almost over, and I said to Mr. Celli, can I come back to you tomorrow with a country? I rushed home and went to our large, bulky PC computer at the time and got onto the internet with that annoying AOL dial-up tone that many of you are probably familiar with and started doing searches on Palestine. I looked at maps, I looked at history, I read a lot and realized that something happened in 1948 that caused Palestine to now be called Israel. I found a map with the word Palestine written on it, right next to that sliver of land that Mr. Celli's large fingers had encircled only hours before. I wanted to print it out. I wanted to show it to him. But I had to ask my mother first. We weren't allowed to use the printer without asking because we tended to print out posters of the Backstreet Boys and Hanson. I went to my mom and asked her, and she saw what I was trying to print, and she said, Nadia, why are you doing that? Why are you trying to print this map? And I explained what had happened in the classroom. She got angry and flustered. She brought it up at the dinner table when my father had come home, and I learned then and there that my parents were refugees, that their parents had lost their homes to the occupation. We decided as a family in that moment that we wouldn't pursue this, that I was just going to choose another country and we were going to move on with our lives. But deep down inside, this was the moment that I really began to understand what it was like to be a Palestinian living in America. I went back to Mr. Celli the next day and I told him, I'm going to write my report on Egypt. I showed him the map with Palestine written on that small, complex, beautiful sliver of land I was only just beginning to understand. During my presentation, I talked about the pyramids, I spoke about Egyptian cinema, I talked about the Nile River, I smiled, and I wrote the best damn report I've ever written. But deep down inside, Mr. Celli had lit a fire. He had caused a passion in me that could not be quenched for Palestine. One day, my future children will stand in front of that global map with their social studies teacher, and they will say, Palestine was there. Palestine is there. Palestine will always be, no matter if it is labeled or not on your map. Hopefully, they won't be walking around their middle school with a cane and forced to write cursive with their left hand.
أهلاً 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 تفضلوا please make yourselves comfortable, make yourselves at home. Wallah, I have guests. This calls for a zagruta. Usually I save them for special occasions, graduation, a wedding. But this is special. Ya ammi, this calls for 2 zagharit. we should eat something. كعك بعجوة. A little on the crust and lots of عجوة. This calls for deep-fried white cheese with some freshly made totli and some hot sesame seed bread, like the kind we used to buy from Bab al-Ammud, ya Allah. Oh, and if we can't have the hot sesame seed bread, we have to have at least one piece of falafel, and some zait and za'atar. And why are you looking at me? You don't expect me to get it for you, do you? Do you? From where? My kitchen? My leftover broth? My stale bread? ما بتستحوش? Have you no shame? لا سوفك خروفك ولا عين ما تشوفك. والله عال. I've wanted someone, anyone, to visit me for the past 69 years, and not only do I get a visitor, I get an entire tribe, and they don't bring a single olive pit? Oh, I don't need anyone. I haven't needed anyone this whole time. Expect me to bring them something. What are you looking at now? Did you notice my poetry? You noticed my poetry. This is the fruit of many, many nights. I couldn't control myself. The words just came out. I tried to talk to the walls, but they only stare back at me. Gray, gray, gray. Concrete, concrete, concrete. So I think about the palm trees in Ariha, about the color of the brown stone mountains when the sun sets, about the small dukkan behind my home, about the football fields where we used to play. I've always loved freedom. When I was 9, my mama bought me a lovely white dress, very cute, little frillies on the bottom, pink bow, and on me, of course, it was cute. So I try it on, and I go outside to show my friends, but they all go to play football. So I went to watch them because I didn't want to ruin my dress, and I watched them until I couldn't take it anymore. I ran home, and I told Mama the dress would be safer in the closet, and I changed into my shorts, I went outside, and I played football, and I played like I'd never played before. But the night that I finished this piece, it wasn't the football fields or the palm trees or white dresses that I was thinking of. It was my baby's touch. She was only 1 when they took me away. She used to put her palm in mine and tickle my hand, and I would laugh because I knew that's what she wanted me to do. And I would eat her little fingers and stroke her 5 little baby hairs. I just want someone to touch me. A kiss on my neck, a stroke on my arm. I'm so alone. They don't even give me books anymore. Well, they used to give me books. What do they think? My mind is going to blow up and kill them? I crave Ghassan Kanafani's Men in the Sun just one more time. I've read it 1,000 times. I know every time I read it I'm going to cry myself to sleep, but just one more time. Or Mahmoud Darwish. I used to read his poetry and imagine my babies reading his words to me. I want to hear his words ring in my ears. I try to recite aloud to myself, but it's not the same. Would you like to hear my favorite verse? أنا لا أكره الناس والله أسطو على أحد ولكن إذا ما جعت آكل لحم مغتصبي. I am no murderer, and I hate no one. But when I am hungry, I will eat the flesh of my oppressor. I would. And so would you. Yes, you would. What would you do if your friends betrayed you? If you invited them into your home, fed them, let them feed and take care of your babies? What would you do? I thought they were my friends. I was the first when they moved into the neighborhood to invite them for Shai. I gave them half my blankets to keep them warm. When season came, I taught them how to till the land and grow their own food. So when they came to my home and pulled me from my bed in front of my babies, of course I didn't believe it. Why would I believe it? I tried to call out to one of them. He slapped my face, covered my mouth, and told me I was too low to utter his name. They blindfolded me and took me away, and when I opened my eyes, this is what I saw. And this is all I've seen for the past 69 years. I still hear my babies screaming for me, "Mama, Mama, where are they taking you? Yamma!" They were so young. And after I was locked up, my babies were scattered in so many different, strange homes. My baby Shadi, he was so young when they killed him, 21. He was in love with a woman named Maryam, and he wanted to marry her, but he insisted that I had to be there. He would only marry her if I was free. It seemed possible. Everyone was celebrating, the women were singing, the men even followed. Shadi began to write me a poem, an ode to life, he called it. But a soldier saw him, pointed a gun at his heart. The bullet went through his right side and screamed out his left. His sister Nihad dragged him to an ambulance. She thought she could save him. But by the time they got to the last checkpoint, the soldier wouldn't let them pass. She begged him, "Please, please, my brother is dying. He's shot. He'll bleed to death." The hospital was just over his shoulder. But he refused. They had to take back roads, and by the time they got there, he was just writing me a poem. He was always the romantic one. When he was a boy and his brothers would go to play basketball, he would stay in and write. And he used to bring me my mint tea with 2 teaspoons of sugar, just like I like it. But one time, when he was 11, he asked me for a dinar to buy his crush a card. So I refused. Shuhal maskhara, an 11-year-old love story. But he begged and begged. I refused. I thought he would never speak to me again. He was so heartbroken. But that night, he brought me my tea with 2 spoons. And I thought, wow, my baby's so mature. And then I went to taste the tea, and it reeked of salt. He had put in the 2 teaspoons of salt. But now he's dead. And Maryam is still waiting for him to come back. She's still waiting. Who will tell her that Shadi's never coming back? Who will tell her that he bled to death? Who will tell her? Who will tell her? Ya Khayan! Ya Safir! Who will tell her? أهلا أهلا Watch me in my glory. I'm not ashamed to cry. I will cry all the way to victory. You know the first thing I'm going to do when I get out? I'm going to dance. I'm going to debki with all my friends and all my babies up and down the street until the sun comes up. على الدلعونة على الدلعونة راحوا الحبايب ما ودعونا. I've always loved freedom. All my locked up sisters feel me. Sometimes I scream through this hole they call a window. I scream for my sisters. Asada! Asada! I pray that she can hear me, that she knows that I feel her, and I know she feels me too. Especially when we hear the lies they tell about us. That they say that I'm so uncivilized, so savage, that I send my babies to the front lines to be killed. I may be poor and sick of these damned walls, but I would never turn my babies into bombs. I wasn't the one who killed Ines. I wasn't the one who drove a bulldozer into the home where she was studying. I wasn't the one who made the roof fall in and crush her and her books. I wasn't the one who killed Muhammad. He was only 13 when he promised to break me free because a soldier shot the brains out of a dying man's head cradled in his arms. Who killed my baby? When they killed Where are you going? Wait! Before you go. Just one more thing. Look at me. Remember me as I am. You tell your friends. Tell them that I'm healthy and angry. Tell them that I still cry. Tell them that I'm so alive. Remember to tell them. I will be free. I will be free. I will be free.
شطاي وربيتاي بين شطاي وربيتاي وبر محفور بسبع السما جاي ورايح وجاي ورايح وجاي ورايحة ورايحة وجاي ورايحة رايحة جاي ورايحة رايحة وجاي مسكوني بفيف شبح مسجوني بوردة مسكوني بفيف شبح مسجوني بوردة بطلع مخفي بخيط عيون سوي وجوه مكوي مسكوني بفيف شبح مسجوني بوردة مسكوني بفيف شبح مسجوني بوردة بضل مخفي بخيط عيون مسوي وجوه مكوي وجاي ورايحة رايحة وجاي جاي ورايحة ورايحة وجاي بلا بر بلا بحر بلا وادي بلا نهر بلا بر بلا بحر بلا وادي بلا نهر عارض بلا أرض بتطلع سارح عارض بلا أرض بتطلع سارح بلا بر بلا بحر بلا وادي بلا نهر بلا بر بلا بحر بلا وادي بلا نهر عقرب بلا أرض بتطلع سارحة عقرب بلا أرض بتطلع سارحة عقرب بلا أرض بتطلع سارحة بتضلها سارحة بتضلها سارحة بتضلها سارحة يمكن جاي ويمكن
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here. It's such a great honor to be standing on the Millennium stage, also part of the DC Palestinian Film and Arts Festival. I think we all dreamt this moment. We didn't think it was gonna happen so soon though. Thank you for everyone who's helped organize this and for this beautiful audience. I just wanna introduce the band members. Derek Bond on electric bass, Juju House on drums, and I'm Huda Asfour. The first song was from my debut album, also titled Mars Jai Raiha, Mars Back and Forth. In the first album, I was really looking for home, I think, and I was dreaming of a world without borders. And we're getting ready to release a second album mid-November. In this one, I was looking for a love without borders, I think. So from the second album, Kuni, the feminine version of the verb be.
بتبسم لضحكتها كوني حبيبتي عسيرتها تتبلع عيوني وبتسكر ريحتها كوني رفيقتي تتكى عشفافي ولمستها تموتني تحقيني بتضلك حبيبتي اللي بشتاق لطلتها بتضلك حبيبتي اللي بشتاق للمستها بتضلك حبيبتي اللي بشتاق لريحتها المقامات قصص تتخيل من المقامات قصصا من نبيذ من حرير من نسج خيال يمتد ثم ينقض يسكن ثم ينطفئ يمتد ثم ينقض يسكن ثم ينطفئ يمتد ليهوي ويهتدي كوني رفيقتي اللي بتجرح أحلامي اللي بتلون لي أيامي ضحكتها كوني رفيقتي تتكى عشفافي لمستها ودني تحقيني بتضلك حبيبتي بشتاق للمستها بتضلك حبيبتي اللي بشتاق للمستها بتضلك حبيبتي اللي بشتاق لسيرتها
Thank you. We're gonna end with a song called Layla for all those who have Layla in their lives, and Layla is also the sort of equivalent of Juliette in the Arab world, so way predating Juliette, but Layla.
ترمي ولع وسوار محصن ولو يا ليلى ولو يا ليلى شو هالجفا شو هالعيون ترمي ورد ترمي ولع وسوار محصن ولو يا ليلى امتى الزمن يسمح اضمك وامتلي من عيون مدبلها الحنان كيف امتلي من جنون ريحة هالعطر يذكرني بتراب لبنان شو روح معطرة بريحة لبنان جبال مغطية بألوان شو روح معطرة بريحة لبنان جبال مغطية بألوان بتقلي يا بنت جنون أنا مش ملاك مجنن إنسي عفاتي جنون بتقلي يا بنت جنون أنا مش ملاك مجنن إنسي عفاتي جنون ولو يا ليلى شو هالجفا شو هالعيون تمري ورد ترمي ولع وسوار محصن ولو يا ليلى امتى الزمن يسمح اضمك وامتلي من عيون مدبلها الحنان ولو يا ليلى شو هالجف شو هالعيون ترمي ورد ترمي ولع وسوار محصنة ولو يا ليلى امتى الزمن يسمح اضمك وامتلي من عيون مدبلها الحنان كيف امتلي من جنون ريحة هالعطر يذكرني بتراب لبنان
I'm good. I have one. Okay. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. That was a really powerful hour of performances. Can we give it up for them again? Louder. I know y'all got more than that. So tonight, we got to ride the middle school struggle bus again. We got to visit a Palestinian political prisoner, the Huda Asfour ensemble, and I said that right this time. They transported us to a land of beautiful melodies, and DJ Fatin took us along for the journey. And I think you all should know that tonight would not have been possible without Nora Arakat, who directed and curated this entire program. And let's give it up one more time for the designs, ladies.
So thank you all for sharing your art with us tonight. I mean, it's truly inspiring to see how creative we can be. Fatin, as the person who took us through the show with music, can you tell us a little bit about how DJing is part of your artistic expression?
So I started as, where I mostly am a wedding DJ, and I've been serving the Arab community within New York City, local and beyond, for nearly 9 years. And when I started, it was only me and 2 other women who were Arab, and one of them was leaving the country, so I essentially took over for that one. And our community was really large already. We had a lot of Palestinians, Egyptians, Yemeni, a lot of people that had been displaced already by all the kinds of things that are happening back home. But now we're at almost 9 years, and the community is only getting larger by the immigration and all the wars that are happening or continue to happen in our homelands. And we still can't meet the demands because now it's not 3, it's nearly 9 or 10 Arab women, and there's lots of Arab men who DJ as well. But we still can't meet the demands of our community. Everybody's getting married all the time, having babies. And it's really been a wonderful, wonderful journey for me because I always loved music. I used to dance in front of the neighborhood kids and make them follow me, and I love to sing. So it's been really wonderful for me to serve the community in this way. And I think that I found a really beautiful place to be in, and I hope to continue.
That's really awesome, Fatin. And on that note, I just want to say, if you're interested in hearing more about the intersection of music and politics in Palestine, you can come to the segment called The Beat Goes On Sunday, October 8th at noon. We're going to be having 3 films and the world premiere of From Beneath the Earth, and we're bringing Maisa Dell from the Palestinian group DEM. And it's going to be really exciting, so we hope to see you all there.
I seriously would not miss that if I were y'all.
It's at Studio Theater.
On 14th Street. Nadia, you took us to a semi-dark place with that middle school story. Tell us how you found storytelling and what it means to you as a Palestinian.
Absolutely. Storytelling really found me. I had a long commute to my job, and I was listening to a lot of podcasts and found myself crying and laughing and sort of breaking down into a bunch of different emotions during my commute. And I just realized what a powerful medium storytelling is. And it's not anything new to our community or to our tradition. Storytelling is something that's actually quite common and very traditional within Palestinian society, especially, I would argue, down lines of women in our communities through generations and generations. And I really thought that it would be wonderful if we could come up with a way to explore our own stories. Through the creation of Palestinians podcasts, we release stories every year from Palestinians all over the world, and we also do live storytelling events where Palestinians from all across the United States get up on stage and share their stories. And we're fortunate that on Friday, we're actually doing an event as part of the festival called Palestinians Live, and 6 local DC Palestinian storytellers will get up on stage and share their own personal narratives. So we hope that you'll join us also at Studio Theater on Friday.
At 7 p.m.
Look to your right, look to your left. The person next to you might be one of the storytellers. It's really not a surprise. You can find the list on Facebook. Hood and Noura, you're 2 of the festival's co-founders. And this show really exemplifies the spirit of DCPFAF as you first envisioned it. Can you tell us about what motivated you to start this project 7 years ago now, and how this year's program fits into that?
Noura says we were crazy, but I disagree. I actually saw Nadia, the third
Nadia, stand
suspect.
up.
Woo! Hi, Nadia.
So Noura approached Nadia and I in 2011 with this, was it 2011? With the idea of bringing a project that would engage the younger Palestinian generation and can bring into the district voices that have not been featured and haven't had a platform to actually tell their stories. We also were inspired then by the experience of the film festivals that were sort of starting all over the country. And we felt that there was a missing element, and we thought that in DC, featuring the Palestinian arts on a broader level, not only cinema, would be a very important step. And this is how the project started, really, with a very small team. For the first year, I think we were like 5 or 6 people. And here we are, 7 years later. So thank you for all the people who've been supporting this project, the donors, the volunteers, and the amazing executive board members who have been there throughout the years. So thank you.
I just want to echo Huda and say thank you especially to the artists who are putting themselves in the generosity of their productivity and their creative vision. Every one of the board members is an artist or moonlights as an artist in some way. And the other reason, and something that drove us, was that in so many iterations where we discussed Palestine, we're discussing a lot of pain and the intensity, and there were so few places to celebrate what it is to be Palestinian and what it is to be Palestinian in our global diaspora as we exist. As you saw tonight, so much of the program wasn't turath as much as it, even though the storytelling is a form of it, but for example, these are iterations of being Palestinian American, or the iterations of being new music that's being produced. And like that, the rest of the show, the program from October 5th through 8th will feature contemporary art, storytelling, dance in public subways with live music, as well as a spotlight on Shireen Daibes, who is an independent filmmaker. She has produced, directed America, as well as May in the Summer, and she's a writer and producer and director for shows that everybody watches, like The L Word, Empire, and Quantico. And part of the reason we want to feature her is to ask her, what is it to be like to navigate this world where we're so often vilified, and to do it as a Palestinian woman? And what are the responsibilities, the challenges, and the rewards of portraying Palestinians on a big screen in ways that they'll live forever? So we hope you'll join us for her spotlight on Saturday evening, 7 p.m., Studio Theater, and we promise you a great time, followed by a reception and a party, of course.
DJ'd by Fatin.
Woo. Woo.
Well, you saw a lot tonight. We gave you a lot of ourselves, and the artists gave a lot of themselves. And you can catch more of us and our art this weekend at the festival. Our festival runs Thursday, October 5th to Sunday, October 8th. We have films and dance, in addition to, as everyone was saying, storytelling, Shireen Daibes, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be a really great weekend. And if you look on the postcards, you'll be able to find our website and kind of see the schedule at large. Our website, again, is dcpfaf.org. And we know you want to be with us everywhere you go, so we have t-shirts and CDs selling in the back right corner to my right, where you'll be able to buy those, and our wonderful team members are back there selling those to you. Thank you all again for coming out tonight, and we hope to see you this weekend.